The forest stood at the edge of town, a wall of darkness against the dying light. Ancient oaks, their branches gnarled and twisted, clawed at the sky. Their leaves, thick and heavy, choked the sunlight, casting the forest floor in perpetual twilight. The townsfolk spoke of it in hushed tones, calling it the Whispering Wood. They said it was a place of shadows and secrets, where the trees whispered to each other and strange lights danced in the night. Children were warned to stay away, their imaginations fueled by tales of those who had ventured in and never returned. Some said the forest was haunted, a playground for restless spirits. Others claimed it was home to something ancient and evil, something that watched from the darkness between the trees. Whatever the truth, the forest held a powerful sway over the town, a constant reminder of the darkness that lurked at the edge of the known.
These are just old wives' tales, the product of overactive imaginations and long dark nights. Ghosts and spirits hold no place in my worldview.
Tom, however, scoffed at these tales. He dismissed them as old wives' tales, the product of overactive imaginations and long, dark nights. He was a man of science and reason, a firm believer in the tangible and the verifiable. Ghosts and spirits held no place in his worldview. He saw the forest not as a place of fear, but as a challenge, an opportunity to debunk the myths and legends that surrounded it. Armed with his camera, a flashlight, and a healthy dose of skepticism, he resolved to spend a night in the forest. He would capture its essence, its supposed horrors, through the lens of his camera. He would prove once and for all that the Whispering Wood held nothing but trees and shadows, nothing more sinister than the rustling of leaves and the hooting of owls. He set off at dusk, the warnings of the townsfolk echoing in his ears, a confident smirk playing on his lips.
The air is so heavy here, and the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves is almost overwhelming. The light seems to be swallowed by the dense canopy overhead.
The air grew heavy as he entered the forest, the atmosphere thick with the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves. The light, already fading, seemed to dim even further, swallowed by the dense canopy overhead. An unnatural silence descended, broken only by the crunch of Tom's boots on the forest floor. The sounds of the town, the barking of dogs, the distant rumble of cars were swallowed by the oppressive stillness. It was unsettling, this silence. It was as if the forest itself were holding its breath, watching him, waiting. Tom pressed on, his footsteps echoing unnaturally loud in the stillness.
Just trees and shadows, nothing more. Just the rustling of leaves and the hooting of owls.
He raised his camera, snapping pictures of the gnarled trees, the tangled undergrowth. The way the light filtered through the leaves in strange and unsettling ways. He felt a prickle of unease at the back of his neck, a feeling of being watched. But he dismissed it as nerves. As he ventured deeper, the silence began to break. At first, it was just a faint rustling in the undergrowth, the sound of leaves brushing against each other in the still air.
What's that noise? It almost sounds like whispering.
But as he walked, the rustling grew louder, more insistent. It was joined by other sounds, soft whispers that seemed to emanate from the trees themselves.
Tom.
They were faint at first, barely audible, but they grew steadily louder, more distinct.
Come closer, Tom.
Tom stopped, his heart pounding in his chest. He strained to make out the words, but they remained elusive, a jumble of sibilant murmurs that danced just beyond the reach of comprehension.
Who's there? Show yourself.
He shone his flashlight into the trees, but he saw nothing but the gnarled trunks and the shadows that danced between them. He tried to ignore the whispers, to convince himself that they were nothing more than the wind playing tricks on his ears. He kept walking, his pace quickening, but the whispers followed him, growing louder, more insistent.
I need to stay calm. It's just the wind. Just the wind.
He realized with a jolt that he had lost the path.
Where is the path? I can't see it anymore.
Panic surged through him, cold and sharp.
This can't be happening. How did I get so turned around?
The trees, once familiar landmarks, now seemed alien and threatening.
I'm lost, truly lost, in the heart of the Whispering Wood.